are you?
I'm fine, Carlito.
Good
What about you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me for the Museum of Graffiti Artist Talk
Yeah,
Live
thanks to having
program.
me.
It's good to see you again.
Same, brother.
So, well, as you know, we always start the show just reading a little bit about the artists, and then we get into your work. And forgive me for a second while I go to your splash screen. Born in 1977, Vincent Abidi Hafez is a French artist who lives and works in Toulouse, France. Under the pseudonym of ZEPHA, he took part in the graffiti movement of 1989 and is one of the founders of the Gap crew in 1991. Trained in graphic arts, he enriched his art by concentrating on learning traditional calligraphy techniques, concentrating particularly on plastic interactions between Oriental and Western styles. Influenced by the works of Hassan Massoudi and George Mathau, he has developed a singular visual language through his research on the deconstruction of the letter and the cross-cultural meanings of the signs. Recognized as one of the founders of urban calligraphy, he participates in the diffusion of a new aesthetic, breaking away from pictorial forms hitherto explored in Vandal writing styles. Linking formal to the spiritual, his work deconstructs the reference and reads as elegant sources, praising a neglected universalist thought. Wow, Vincent, a tongue twister of a bunch of things, but wow, what a career you've been having. And I was happy that you were down to do this with us because it gives some of our viewers who are into style writing a kind of some insight into how it's connected to this calligraffiti movement. And of course, we opened up with Shu at the museum to celebrate calligraphy as well as ZEPHA. And of course, you are always on my mind because you're right there with them in terms of developing this language. But before we get into that, there was another language we all shared, which was writing on trains. Let's talk about you as a kid coming up and riding in trains in France.
Okay, train. I didn't start in the beginning by train, but like all of us, just be influenced by what we have seen first, then tagging. I was lucky to grow up in a city called Cergy, a new town like close to Paris, like 1 hour train from Paris, where bloom up in the station a lot of crazy piece from let's say 1986. I think the first graffiti was there, and as a young kid I was really attracted by this when I was with my mother in the station to go to Paris. So for me, my pioneer before to discover the book of Henry and Martha was those crazy guys from the cast crew, people like Young, like Cuts, like Strike, the TBK crew also. Big respect for them because they blow my mind very young. Also people like Raiden, Denpi, Azad Duke, and some people from the DKA also on the line. So those was my pioneer before I discovered the book with my friend in a library in Paris. We went specially to find this book, and we stay all the afternoon in the library checking all this crazy, movement we discover at this time. So and in my time there was also a huge movement about hip-hop culture. So very early I start to do graffiti. In my childhood I was really influenced by before I discovered this movement. I was a shy child, very in my own world, looking I don't know, painting. I used to draw a lot already. I discovered also some how you call it, cave painting. I collect fossil also, and I was involved to yeah. One day, my mother bring me in a museum, in a archaeological museum, and a man was there and sculpting like silex, you know, some stone, making some shape like this. So I was collecting stone, you know. I was this kind of little bit crazy guy. In my room, a lot of stone, fossil.
Did you at one
So
point realize the connection between indigenous or primitive art and the act of writing on on a wall or a train? Did that make sense to you
I
early on?
think it's I think the link came by himself when I saw this on the wall in the station. Straight we start to write our name, and you know, the city was new, so it was a lot of building sites and a lot of palisade, and very nice to tag on it.
So you were in Toulouse. How much interaction did you have with, let's say, Paris, central Paris?
Not much, really. Our crew, so in 99 we created the GAP crew, me and my friend, and the guidance and protection crew. At this time we was like outsider, because we was outside Paris, so we evolved in a way like outside this movement, let's say. And we was influenced by the American style and the pioneer, like, you know, Phase 2, Ramsey Lee scene, all, and this movie style also, where you appear and blow our mind, really. And but the movement in Paris was, we didn't connect in the early years. I mean, after, yes, we connect some people there, and we was hanging at night, doing a lot of stuff in Paris. But we always play, you know, like a cercle fermé, let's say, like a crew, but without connecting a lot of people. Yeah, like outsider, let's say, and it's permits ourselves to develop our own style, let's say. I think.
But it's interesting. Again, you have what was that environment like where you grew up? I mean, was it like a middle class, or was it in the hood? Were you in a ghetto? Because
Let's say we was in a neighborhood, but me, I come from the middle class.
yeah.
But I was living in a neighborhood where it was very cosmopolite, a lot of different nationality with different background, a lot of Maghrebian people, a lot of Vietnamese, different style also from the old empire from Africa, let's say French Empire from Mali, Senegal. So my town was new. It was this kind of town built for the people who was working in Paris. So people live in this town, taking the train in the morning to go to work in Paris, and came back at night just to. So it was a town. Let's say we call it Ville Nouvelle. It was like a new model around Paris, based on the train. I mean, they build the track specially for that. So it was a new model of town with a very interesting architecture. Build. There was nothing, so they build everything. So architects have a good background, let's say, and they make it nicely.
In those times when you're going to Paris, where did you get to meet with all Tilt and all the Parisian writers and John Juan and all those Bando, all those guys that were there beforehand?
Yeah, I never connect them. In our side, we never connect them. But let's say you speak about Tilt, it was more in Toulouse at this time, so we connect after. But at this time, it was more like the suburb writers. Like I told you, the old school writers from the suburbs. Right. Let's say the big brother. So yeah, when we created the crew, it was like with Samsi, Endek, Mr. Wu, all those guys from my neighborhood. And but we really stay, you know, in our town. There was a good movement, you know, rapping, breakdancing also. So we make our own in our side.
I believe, if I'm correct, Doze spent some time in Toulouse. I recall him mentioning that he was there for a minute. I'll fact check that actually, but yeah, I've heard of the scene out there, and you were again one of the guys that came out of it and started running out the gate, trying to do new things, and you started kind of exploring this calligraphy in your style. Tell me about that, about bringing calligraphy and letters and words into your going away from graffiti to your painting, to what you have to say.
Let's say my practice in graffiti was really with the code, like the American code. We was influenced also by people from we start on train, because in our town there was like three yards very close to where we was living. There was a layup in Cergy Saint Christophe. There was the end, we live in the end of the line, so there was a lot of train parked there, and we connect with KZ from the other side of the line, and we start to bombing train a lot. And at this time my practice was really like you know, train like very fast. We have to make the piece in 20-30 minutes. So this energy, you know, this fact, then we have to do it fast, stay in my practice of indoor work. I always separate what I was doing outside with my indoor work, studio work, let's say. I always have studio practice about
at what age, but can I ask you, what age were you when you first had your first studio?
It was my room, you know. So
I guess that's true.
Yeah. So it was not really a studio, but let's say I practice different style indoor than outside. Outside with the spray can was really for graffiti, for action, with friend, with all these rules, you know, with kind of illegal stuff, with the speed, put poesia in the urban landscape. But indoor it's really different. So I used to work with texture, illustration, characters. Maybe we can see before. Sometime I was drawing characters with my letters. So it was just a continuity, I think, to work with letters, to act the letters, to twist them, and trying to, yeah, like a basic graffiti, but with this research on the Latin letters. Then came a time where I met a man called Abdelatif Mustad, who was a painter, plastician painter, but also a calligrapher, Moroccan from Morocco. And this really, I realized then it was really interesting to work with different alphabet and mix them. And in 2000, we create a collective called Les Arts with my friend. At this time, there was some investigation, you know, to stop all the Parisian scene. So on my side, I didn't get trouble, but I put my energy more in to create this collective. And I used to be, as a young artist, let's say, I made a lot of intervention in suburb with young public, and my practice was calligraphy from the beginning. So since 2000, my work, my intervention was based on the to go back, you know, from the beginning of the writing, and trying to mix the different alphabets, especially with the Arabic calligraphy. So
had you already met Shu at all, Neil?
Yeah, I met him, but lately. and I didn't know him before. Like I told you, I was like really, I don't know, like in our world. I was in my world, you know. I didn't check a lot the work of the other. Um, yeah, maybe it's a wrong thing, but in another way, it's a good thing. In a way, you create your own expression, and I was really interested by trying different media since day one, indoor work or outside, creating some tools, let's say, to mark, to leave the mark on any support. Um,
But
so
that mark changed. That mark became gestures, right? That at certain point, I mean, yes, they're connected to letters. It seems it connects to some of the graffiti style movements, and of course, heavily on graffiti. But again, there's a lot of just big sweeping gestures in all of this that again, it looks like you're painting them fast, but you're also incredibly precise. You know exactly where you want the brush to go and behave.
yeah, this came with the time. I really appreciate brush. I use brush since very long. Even when I was practicing with the spray can, my studio work was, when I say studio work, is more like a research. I always been a researcher, trying stuff, different texture, different material. Um, you know, this relation about trying to fix a mark, to fix the time, let's say, and to have this texture about like kind of old stuff, you know, you find under the ground. Or I was really close to archaeology at this time, and I like, you know, this to connect the ephemeral from the graffiti, this idea of the ephemeral, and also to fix it on a mobile support. So not mobile, not phone, but you understand, like paper, carton, wood I was finding in the street. So my practice with the brush was long time ago. Sorry, excuse my French. uh, so I was how you can comfortable with these tools, and when I start to do this style, let's say, to mix the different character of the different alphabets, I was inspired also by the definition, and all this pictogram. Then came alphabet, and yeah, so I was already comfortable with the brush, really. And for me, it's always been a dance, you know, like a choreography. I always found a correlation in between the movement of the hand with the tools, and connected with the body, and also connected with it was like spiritual, not really spiritual, but let's say something. When I was doing it, I disconnect completely with the reality.
Right.
And this I dig it, you know, and more I was practicing, and more I feel comfortable, and it was more like moving with the flow, you know, like, yeah,
Yeah.
very similar to graffiti. When I think about this, you know, this, when you are in the action, you are in another world, you know, like you disconnect completely. You have to be to check if there is nobody or any danger, but in the same time you are really focused, and the adrenaline plus that brings something very special. And I was trying to find it again when I was walking inside in a quiet place, let's say, with a different feeling.
Well, I feel like that you capture a lot of that and then some, because you're bringing the brush into it, and you're bringing these really unique techniques, these bleeding ink techniques, which are really beautiful. one of the things
Thanks.
that I like about where all this is going is that for some reason, the marks and the strokes are connecting, you know, again, two great histories from antiquity all the way up to graffiti, but also you're trying to reach something new, all right? A good hybrid of this. And you're doing it through paint, but also through sculpture. You've done quite a bit of sculpture work. Tell me how sculpture has been, you know, become part of your practice.
Again, it's about opportunity. But when I was young, I used to go to a youth center to practice some graphic art, and I used to do some ceramic. So this came from that, maybe this feeling with the earth and with the clay, I mean, and trying to shape some form. You can find also this when you are drawing, you know, trying to have some volume, some 3D. But with the time, you know, when I start to work with David Block Gallery, David give me the opportunity to work with different. I used to work with copper already, agencing some materials I was finding in the street and adding some copper, who was etched.
So this piece that we're looking at that looks
Yeah.
it looks like it says some, I can't quite make out what it does. It looks like, I think that I see a 2. You can make out whatever name you want in it as per I see, but it has this it's great because it's got like this kind of sharp diagonal.
This sculpture called Étude de lettres. C'est un jeu de mots. It's like a word game to say, you know, it's the study of being, and in the same time it means it's a study of letters. But I studied the letter A, so you can find, you know, different shape, but in the same time it can represent like a silhouette.
Yeah.
Very close also to some influencer I met on the visually on the way. Like I can sit one of them because I didn't sit them, but after graffiti in the same time I was interested by when I start to be like a, let's say, art teacher in suburb with youth, with street educator. I used to work in you know, like kind of jail for youth, and it's there I really start to dig the combination of different alphabets. And what I want to reach, the point I want to reach is like I mix, you know, I used to take the alif and introduce it in my Latin A, and this kind of game, you know, in between the different alphabets. And so sculpture, yeah, let's go to sculpture. David gave me the opportunity to work also with some dinandier. Dinandier is the people who work with brass wood. And on my side, I used to have some research already, but on 2D, aplat, I mean on copper, but not in 3D. So starting to work with them, I this opportunity give me the chance to dig more deeply, let's say, and trying. This is, let's say, my first 3D. You can turn around. No, the second, because the first was with you, Carlos.
That's right. We collaborated in
This
Morocco.
one, yeah, this one, exactly.
That was a Crossing Paths. That exhibition in Morocco brought us to David Block, with David Block, and it was an interesting collaboration going to Northern Africa, right? And again, you know, bridging histories. That's one of the things that we were discussing, is how the unique thing about the writing culture, the graffiti culture, is that so many of us are networked in by virtue of the culture we support and came up in, and have created opportunities to collaborate and to meet. And again, we went there and we produced a show, and this is one of the pieces. And like you said, when you work with the local craftspeople, you get educated. You see even some of the primitive techniques still hold up today. You know, these big machines can do this, of course, but this is all done by hand.
Yeah,
And
this is magnifique because of that. You know, the manual work is the essence of the humanity. You know, the way we build tools.
you happen like you happen to like to be there with the fabricators. You like to spend time with them, which is
I really give respect for craftsmen. Really, it's like, I don't know. I'm attracted by all this kind of ceramic and brass wood and sculpture on wood. All this kind of very, you know, ask patience and repetition, and yeah, it's close to calligraphy in a way. You know, like
of
repetition,
course.
except it's
I'll
not
go back to
utilitary. But
right. I'll
yeah,
go back to
yeah, this piece is nice also.
to
It's nice you
paperwork.
choose it.
Collaborating on paper. Paper is a great medium to use before sculpture, before creating a sculpture. I want to get into the murals. I mean, you're a beast when it comes to murals. This looks like an enormous project, and
Yeah,
the
it was in
writing.
Jalve. It was in Sweden. Sweden.
Where was this?
Sweden, in Jalve. It's a small town in Sweden,
So,
curated by Document Press. You know, it's a edition house. There
yes,
was,
they're friends of ours. Yes.
yeah, very respected by the book they release. Very interesting and pointu, let's say. And so they invite me in the same time, like with among other artists. So they give me this corner, very interesting, on the library. I use kind of Celtic rune there. You can find some.
Yeah.
I like to go back to the roots of the writing and adapt every time I go to the different place, different country. When I have the opportunity to paint a wall in a different area, I try to be inspired by the history also. Like this one, you know, it's in Rabat, Morocco in 2014. I use Tifinagh writing, Berber writing, also with Arabic and French. It's sentence, it's writing something there.
What is it saying? What are we looking at in terms of
The quote on this wall is it's the okay my if I try in English, if I'm born from the earth, then if I'm born from the earth, then the world is my country and humanity my family. So it's an old quote also from Ibn Arabi. I like, you know, to connect my heart with some, let's say, philosophically, even if people cannot write, read it, it's good to give some key
well,
to the...
it's incredibly complex. I mean, this building, I've seen this building. It's almost like 10 stories high, and it is maybe like
I don't know. I think it's 15 by 15. Now
yeah.
there is something in front, but it's still there. Yeah.
And it's amazing because there are rings, maybe like more than 9 rings.
It was really interesting. The process was really interesting, really. And
so these murals, let me tell you something. These are not a small feat. You get these big commissions.
Sharjah. This is in Sharjah.
This is in Sharjah.
Yeah.
And what about this one?
This one in Dubai.
This is a hotel. What was the name of this hotel in Dubai?
Novotel. I don't remember, but it's Satwa roundabout. It's a little bit outside the center, but it's a Filipino area.
Right.
Very good session also with other artists, curated by the Mind Gallery and Rome. And there was a lot of different artists also during this session. It was hot, and I make it with only one brush, as you can see. And the sun was in my back.
Well, the writing. Tell me about the writing, because
here
so paint this, because this one was interesting. It was kind of like watching The Matrix. It really reminded,
Exact.
it
So the first
reminded me of
idea,
that.
yeah, so this mural called Suspended Oaths, Muhalakat. It means les poèmes suspendus. It's part of
That's cool.
anti-Islamic poetry. And I write a poem writing in Arabic that I repeat. And the idea behind this, it's like to make like a frame, you know, like a texture from far to see like a waterfall, to make this contrast with this golden color like sand and the water, you know, to play with this contrast. And effectively, Matrix was not in my mind, but people told me, hey man, you paint the Matrix. So it was perfect for Dubai, you know, this
Yes.
big town, and it was a nice session, really. Some
This,
people take the picture from Chopin down. Zan
yeah,
Meyer, I think, was there. Yeah,
yes. Yeah, I
big up.
remember that mural. I visited you while you were working
Exact.
in
Yeah,
Satwa. So this brings me to back to Morocco and this extraordinary exhibition you had with David Block. David is a fantastic gallerist. You know, we both dealt with various gallerists, and we think he's a really wonderful guy to work with, and always putting really good cutting edge shows. And this happened
really.
to be one of them. I mean, look at this entrance, the facade. Uh, Tell me about, you know, designing the facade or painting the facade for your own show, because this is all, what is this, all gold paint?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gold
I like.
stroke, layers
You
and
know, I
layers.
use a lot of gold and silver in my work. Remind me, you know, this ambience, this mood, you know, when you are walking on the track, only with the moonlight and the silver you're using, changing in different with the depending the light. I really like this effect, you know, during the day and during the night. It's really not the same result and effect with the retina. It catch the light in different way than other color. I like to be sober and work with this kind of color. Yes, this show, every time David give me the opportunity to make something new, and I really appreciate. This guy is the first gallerist who put me, let's say, on the market, close to, let's say, huge artists. Most of them from graffitis, who developed something with different than what they was doing before outside. So
So
yeah,
yeah,
I give
a lot of great
respect a lot.
contemporary. And so, how do you
Sorry.
feel? He's showing you with your contemporaries, right? A lot of the best artists like Tank and others. Um,
Yeah,
and
post graffiti. Yeah,
yeah,
most of
and
them.
so now, as you see yourself again removed from graffiti, let's just say your old style graffiti and graffiti style writing, do you ever go back and try to do a traditional style piece, or is your aesthetic and your interest so far removed that it's no longer about the graph game?
I'm not in the game no more, but when I have to paint a piece, I will go back to my let's say white style, but with the spray, you know, with some American code. I like to say, even if I'm influenced now with different, but every time now I put some spray and I try to have my brush with me to add some, you know, this special stroke I like to. But yeah, for me, graffiti is still graffiti. Is I didn't connect really the both. Spray can is another feeling, you know, and brush is another feeling again. And those let's say 15 years, I was really involved in my heart, in my own let's say own flow. So yes, I painted with friend outside some murals with my name and with some creativity inside, but I didn't connect really the both, you know. I still schizophrenic in my style.
Right. No, but again, that's the thread, right? That's something that connects you, what you do now, together to your story, and but also connects you to the rest of us, right? We all start from the genesis of writing our names and finding a style for our names. And you really landed at the right time and place with the calligraffiti and the calligraffiti movement, because that was so influential. You have so many great peers, from Retina to Cryptic to Big
So
Street.
great. I discovered their work lately. Right now is super good.
And Chaz as well.
Yeah, Chase. I didn't know this guy, and yeah, very old school guy. And I discovered also the work of ZEPHA, and yeah, we was in the beginning because of our background. I think it's really different background, but. On my side is really the work I used to do with the youth as an educator, to go back on the beginning of the writing, digging this really seriously, trying to link, the different culture in the West and the East, trying to connect also all the social problem there was in France, and the gap in between the generation and the different culture. I realized that a lot of youth, they pretend to be to know their culture, but they didn't know nothing. It's not I don't want to generalize, but I realized then it was important to me as an artist, trying to link, to trying to break the wall and find something new. We have to create our own culture, because we live in a world now. Let's say we have to keep our specificity, and at the same time we have to find similarity in our identity. I mean,
well, one of the things I point out to most folks who are part of this culture is that we're part of the hip hop culture, right? We're part of the remix culture. And so that is adapting a little bit of everybody's flavor and reimagining it in your own. And one of the things that I'm looking at this mural here, that again, you're returning back to the patterns of circles of
yeah, circle,
but what I find
circle
really
represents a lot of things,
because the writing could be of several cultures, right? It looks like to me at times you're influenced by Celtic culture, or Islamic writing, or primitive Greek writing, and then in the center, there's this
this is a
image that's this. Yeah, tell me about that. The symbol, because it looks almost indigenous to
it's really
Indian culture.
It comes from in the okay, let's say in Amazigh culture, Amazigh, like let's say Berber culture, there was some symbol like this one, but I arrange it. It's not like original one. It's a little bit improvised. It was on the end of the wall, and I have only very few time to finish, and I improvise it. But it's related to the people, the old women at this time. They have some tattoo on the face, and it was a sign of beauty. Now you cannot find people, the religion really erase this kind of ancestral corporal tattooing, facial tattoo, but you can find them with cross on the front, or here, or under here, close to the eyes, and it was a sign of beauty. And I met, on this place is in the south of Morocco, a young girl who made some research about this, and trying to collect, to keep, the memory of this practice. And I improvise a lot, so every time I arrive on site, I know a little bit, I have some idea, but I like to be on site to make my sketch and to be inspired by the place, the story. So this is an example. Like the other wall we was checking just before, it was the same. I like old women passing at the end of the wall. It last only one day to finish. Tell me, yeah, it's a little bit dark. You know, you're supposed to not do dark like this, to paint more like bright. And so I was a little bit like, sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't listen. You cannot listen everybody, but at this time I listened to her, and I decided to add some circle and some small line, you know, of light, and it make it pop up, and this is the way I work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like a sketch, and a lot of improvisation. And
no, this is a very beautiful wall, very meaningful. It's terrific.
yeah, also it's a quote, you know, it's writing also in different writing, but it's a quote who say, how to say in English? Okay, forget about this.
Well, look, I want to move on, and I want to share with folks a beautiful project video of a project you did with Hugo Boss. And it was really, I gotta say, elegantly shot, captured the dynamics of style writing.
Yeah, they give me the opportunity to do it like 2 years ago for a perfume. Yeah, it was nice collaboration, you know. It was the first time for me to work with a brand, so it's a nice start, you know. And
you also created a brand. You created the Jaguar brand.
Yeah, exactly. This is also on my on my parcours, you know. It's like you find way to survive as an artist, still continuing to practice. In the same time, you find different way to bring, you know, money home. So
you help create this kind of henna product, and you
it's not henna, it's a fruit, by the way. It's an American.
Okay, thank you for correcting me.
Yeah. Henna is like, I like to say, it's the cousins. Henna is a leaves, peeled, so it's a powder. This is a juicy fruits. It blew my mind when I try it for the first time. It's a traditional also way to paint, corporal design. It's a ritual for the Amerindian. So in all Amazonian forest, they use this. They use it before. They continue now, but the young generation forget a little bit about, you know, this kind of old school practice. But it's a fruits, man, and it's oxidize the skin. You know it because you had it one on the arms when we was together.
Yeah.
But yes, I create this label because as a practicer, it was really hard to find fresh juice. So on the way, you know, it was not really a plan to make money, but it came like this, just to have some fresh juice. We were supposed to so we connect, you know, with some Amerindian, and now we work with them. They send us juice, and we create like a gel. And yes, the brand is called Jaguar Ink. You can check, people, spread the rumors.
And you created a whole community around this, which is really cool. I think
now it's going.
That's a powerful.
It's growing, man. Yeah, yes, but it's a movement since the beginning. I when I discover it, I say, wow, why this stuff is not known? You know, it's like, fuck, it's so amazing. First, you don't see nothing, then it came, it appears, then it stay like 1 to 3 weeks on the skin, then it disappears. It's really like ephemeral, like graffiti. You know, I connect also with the practice of etching with eau forte on copper, but it's the body, you know. So yeah, canvas is the body. As graffiti, you know, it's the same. Tattooing the town.
Yes, exactly. So, folks, I want to thank Vincent for joining me. It's good to see you, my friend. I want to ask everyone out there, if you have any questions for ZEPHA, please ask away. We got a couple minutes before and Instagram wraps us up. Um, so Vincent, let me just ask you, how have you been holding up during the coronavirus? How has that been affecting you in France and your community?
Everybody's fine, you know. Everybody, we are fine. I stay in my studio a lot. Hopefully, I have this studio. I cannot stay in my apartment. I'm claustrophobe, but I have space here. I have my garden. I can plant my stuff, playing with my chicken, and make my painting. So it didn't change a lot. You know, we are kind of monk, you know, working inside. So yeah, coronavirus, I hope it will go away soon. It's supposed to be like this. And
Did I imagine you had projects lined up that got
yeah, for sure.
put
Yeah,
on
a lot
hold?
of things are postponed, but I think now it's coming to the end. And even if, I don't know, I don't want to speak about this because it brings me crazy, you know. But for me, it was not the solution to confine people. But I don't want to debate about it.
Yeah,
Better to eat, you know, I have an advice. Eat ginger, lemon, and vitamin, and you will be all right. And paint
yes.
every day. Practice every day.
Folks, if please,
Thanks to having
yeah,
me, Carlos. It's nice to
yes,
see you again.
likewise, man. And I appreciate your work and your journey, your contributions to the calligraffiti movement. As always, the
Shukran,
work is
Habibi.
always impressive and pushing the envelope in ways it's never been done before. So again, you know, it's because I'm so glad I'm able to have you as part of this program, because France has a big history in graffiti and contemporary urban graffiti, and there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of people to pick and choose from. And one of the things that's really nice is that, you know, you're from France but not from Paris, and you give Toulouse a sense of history. It can own its own history in this culture, and you happen to be a part of that. And as we advance this culture, right, in the way we illustrate it or particularly practice
You're
it
right.
in the studio, again, it is part of that legacy and heritage that builds on itself, yeah, for years to come, it seems, doesn't it?
It's right. It's right. Let's continue the fight, man. And I want to pass my big up and shout out to my b-boy from Toulouse, Psych. Also, it's an old-timer from Toulouse. I'm not originally from here, but I was really warm welcome there. And I hope to come to US, man. I never been there, you know. It's the Mecca, and I never been, you know. So, inshallah, one day we meet
Well,
there.
yeah, well, we'll welcome you with open arms, Vincent.
Yeah, shukran. Merci beaucoup, Carlos.
All right, my
So
brother.
take care.
Thank you.
I will follow the next interview because I've seen some of them really interesting.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's been wonderful for us to be able to share, you
yeah,
know,
it's wonderful, man. Really
our
great job.
stories, you know, with one another, you know. And tomorrow, we have a really talented style writer, this woman called Shiva.
I didn't know her, but I will
She's
follow this.
she's
Yeah,
phenomenal talent. So tomorrow, guys, check in. We've got Shiva joining us, and so I'm a big fan of her style writing. She's a terrific style writer, somebody who's been holding
I
it
will
down
check
for a
it,
minute.
man.
So we want to give some light to her as well, and learn from her about her story. So listen, my friend, have a good night. Thank you for staying up with us. I know it's late in France, and we'll catch up soon, Vincent.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego, mi amigo.
Peace.
Thank you, folks, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, where Lady Shiva will be joining us, and we'll have a conversation and presentation for her as well. Take care. Good night.
Peace, Carlos.